From a quiet home in Beechamville to helping shape music education across Jamaica and beyond. My guest today is Gay Magnus, educator, percussionist, and director of music at the Alpha School of Music. I'm Archibald Gordon. This is Profile. Gay Magnus, welcome to Profile.
Thank you. I'm very happy to be here.
We're happy to have you. It's a wonderful story, and I'm looking forward to hearing you share. So this is Director of Music, Alpha School of Music, percussionist, specialized in steel pan, and I have questions about the steel pan, very interested in that. Masters in steel pan performance, Bachelor in Music at University of the West Indies, but also before that, also in botany, which we'll get to, Fulbright Scholar, author of 2 books on steel pan pedagogy, which is teaching. How do you teach it? Mm-hmm. Educator, taught at UWI, Edna Manley, Northern Caribbean University, UTech. Musical director, UWI Panorythm, Stella Maris, UTech steel band as well, and a screenwriter, an MA, Masters of the Arts in Writing for Script and Screen, and also co-wrote and co-produced a short film, One Party. When you listen to all of that, to the trajectory of it, I guess you hear it sometimes when people introduce you. What do you think?
I feel very blessed, really. I've had a good life. I've had a very varied life, and I've had the opportunity to do the things I love. So I'm grateful.
And that's interesting when you say to do the things you love, because that is something, for many of us, that we work out over time. We try to figure it out. Your story started in Nassau, Bahamas, but that was just where you were born. Really, your story starts in Beechamville?
Yes.
St. Anne, tell me about where you grew up and the people who raised you.
Well, my earliest memories of life were in Beechamville, which is in St. Anne. My father was a Methodist minister, and my mother was a teacher. And the church stationed him in Bahamas. That's how I happened to be born there. And then afterwards in Beechamville. And it's a rural community, so I have very fond memories of just being in the bush, which I still love today. You know, you're playing under the guava trees, that kind of thing. So that's my earliest memories of life.
And the people know who raised you, what kind of values did they instill in you, your mother and father?
Well, they were Christians, and Christian to the bone. And I remember, the main thing I remember is there was this plaque in our house that said, "Let go and let God." And it's something they lived by. You know, when you had problems, whatever the problems are, you'd see them go, "Oh, all right, God is in control." And I'm like, we're not going to dwell on this problem anymore. We don't want to flesh this problem out. And you're like, it's going to work out. And it does. And that's something I've carried into my personal life, into my adult life. Let go and let God.
Was it that you saw them doing, but were they, or was it that they were also explaining it to you when, for instance, you came to them with a problem or anything?
Yeah, but I saw them do it. That was my main influence. They lived that. And I lived it myself.
Let's talk about now the influence of music in the home, because they were interested, and not just interested, but participating in the arts, for instance. Father was an actor, for instance.
Yes, my father was an actor, and he played the piano as well. He was in one of the earliest Jamaican films. It was a film done by the Family Planning Board. You know, talking about, family planning, and he was one of the actors. So he was very involved in theater and in early film, as early as, you know, what was that, the 60s. And he encouraged myself and my sister to be involved in the arts, not just music, not just theater. We did ballet, we did piano lessons. I was very involved with theater from, you know, a child up until my teens. And I remember after ballet class, I would go and sit beside the pianist. It was a grand piano, I'll never forget it, a baby grand piano. And I'd sit beside the pianist and just be amazed when he played, how this beautiful sounds could come out of this big clunky instrument. And so when my father decided that I was to have piano lessons, I was like, yes, you know, no convincing, I was ready.
Engaged in the arts, all sorts of different levels, developing a love for music, going to school at the same time.
Yeah.
and not pursuing the arts in school, which was very interesting to me when I read your bio, but pursuing the sciences.
Yes.
So explain how the two things come together.
In my day, I don't know, I'm hoping things have changed now, but certainly in my day when I was in high school, you had two choices. When you reach third form, you choose between the sciences or business. The arts wasn't a part of your choice. And I decided to do sciences because scientists had more prestige. You know, you're bright, the bright girls did sciences. So I'm like, okay, I'm bright. I'll do the sciences as well. So that's how I ended up doing sciences at CXC. And then, well, in my family, your education doesn't end until you do some kind of tertiary studies. So I went to UWI and, well, continued with the sciences. And of all of the sciences, I gravitated towards botany. Remember, I have this love for the nature and bush and all of that. And plants are actually quite fascinating. You know, so I studied botany, and very interesting. And I left UWI with a bachelor's degree in botany. I worked in plant quarantine, and I worked in agricultural research. All of them were good, but after a couple of years, I realized I wasn't enjoying it anymore.
What was it about that? What was it that made you say, no, this is not it for me?
All right. Well, while I was at UWI, I joined the UWI Panorhythm Steel Band. All right, I was looking for creative outlets. I also joined the drama club, and I also joined the steel band, and the steel band really helped me. And it was my introduction into band culture, which is what I'm teaching now at Alpha. I learned about band dynamics, directing a band, and it was assumed that once you have previous musical knowledge, you're going to arrange. So I was given the task of arranging, and I really learned about how to run a band while at UWI. And when I left and I graduated, I still continued with UWI Panorhythm, and I realized that what I really like is pan. And it was getting harder and harder for me to show up in my botany work. And I was like, you know, they're going to fire me because there's going to become a point where I just stop. So I said, let me just leave and pursue what it is I really want to do, which was to play the steel pan.
All right, I'm going to take a break here, but there's so much. I want to go back to this question of the pan. It's an interesting instrument. I think I read a long time ago, the only instrument invented in the, is it 20th century?
The only acoustic instrument.
Acoustic instrument invented in 20th century. So I want to talk about that and a couple of other things, but we have to take our first break on Profile, and we're back with you after these messages.